Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video we are going to take a close look at the X18s again. Yeah, so for the people who didn't know, I did a full unboxing video and I just wanted to give you like what you're going to get out of the box, or at least like in the first generation or the first batch of these devices. And I was quite annoyed because there were some things I really not liked. I will talk about it in this video too, but we're going to unleash the beast because there is a new firmware update and just did update myself. I'll also show you in this video how I did it, because when you do this, ooh, now it's going to be really interesting. But don't get me wrong, I was still very negative in my first review and there are still a lot of things I don't like about this thing, but with this firmware update it's getting way better now, and with the price point of this device it's getting quite interesting now. It's going to be an emulation beast, if you ask me, for the price tag that you're going to pay for it. But okay, so let's take a close look at the system itself. What are the options when it comes also we having a TV out, and like how comfortable is this bloody thing? But let's take a close look at the control panel and what you're going to get and what are all the function keys for. This device runs on Android, so take consideration we're having some shortcuts buttons that are very convenient when you're trying to boot up a game or you just want to mess around with an emulator. So first of all we're going to get two analog sticks. The analog sticks are like the typical analog sticks you can see like with the first generation of Chinese handheld. They don't have a click, and this is not, let's say, the Nintendo Switch look-like joysticks. Then we're going to get like select a start, we're going to get the D-pad. It's quite clickish, but the D-pad itself, let's start about it first, because this, I don't like it, and I will tell you why. So at the right side we're going to get A, B, X, Y, and what I don't get is like, why not adding some extra buttons over here, because we have so much free space that we can, let's say, have a better configuration in my opinion. So over here we're going to get some function keys. We have a volume, the G is a quite interesting story. Then we're going to get the on and off switch, and some extra functional keys, for example going back home and return, for if you want to browse the internet or you just want to go return in a game, very convenient. At the front we're going to get the audio jack over here, and headphone jack, and I must say that the headphone jack is something you don't see very often on every single handheld nowadays. Another thing, we're going to get two speakers, so finally we got some decent audio when it comes to this handheld, and I must say that sounds pretty damn good. At the back we're going to get 4 shoulder buttons, so we're going to get 8 in total. Then we're going to get the option for entering a CF card. We have an HDMI functionality out, and of course the Type-C for charging and data transfer. Okay, so the clamshell design, I must say it feels quite nice. It feels kind of sturdy. I can still see that there is some movement on this display itself, but nothing really to worry about. The only thing I don't like about it, that we're only having like a couple of ways you can put it. Basically when you're opening up, we're having position 1, and then we're going to get position 2. And with the GPD, I know you can even bend it a little bit further. And what I like about it, when you just want to play a game like that, it's super convenient if you can put it basically all the freaking way. So it's a little bit of a bummer, because with the previous model we also had this issue. And let's take a close look at the weight of the handheld. So this device weighs in total 308 grams. So if you compare this with, let's say, a cheap China handheld like the cheap, they weighed around like 190, something like that. So it's not bad. Okay, so let's bring the old model. Let's talk about it first. So what I like about the new model is just the color. I'm just going to be honest, that's the only thing that I basically can say about it. Because when you're looking at the freaking old model, you can see like there is nothing being changed. Like, there are some minor tweaks. The D-pad looks slightly different. I'll say that it feels less sturdy, but still this D-pad is freaking awful, and for fighting games it's absolutely a no-go. The ABXY looks slightly different, and the touch is more clickish on the new model. Then we're going to get all the same shortcuts. Also this one doesn't have like the clickies on the joysticks. So overall when you're looking at the control panel, it's absolutely the same. And the same is for this, like the movement. So when I'm just going to do it side by side, it almost feels identical. So the 18 and the 18s is like, in my opinion, the same when it comes to the movement of the display itself. It leaves me wonder, like the old model has this issue. Of course we can just use some double-sided tape or some glue to put it back, but this issue, fun fact, I didn't even use this freaking thing a lot. Okay, so let's sandwich the handheld and let's talk about the back of it. Because over here, we're going to get some minor differences. To begin with, we're going to get, of course, the Type-C with the new model. compared with a micro USB. This is a big upgrade because I really hate micro USBs. These things always get broken, and especially when it comes to the cables. So when you're looking at the buttons over here, they're like freaking the same. So even with the shoulder button, there is nothing being changed over there. So that is the reason why that was just the reason why I was pretty damn skeptical with these devices, especially with the X18s. So when you're looking at the body itself, it's not big of an improvement, and that is really shitty. Alright, so let's talk about some specs. It's wicked nerdy time. And the reason why, because there were some interesting things going on. So first of all, I also double checked with AIDA64, and when you're checking the specs of the manufacturer, for example, the RAM needs to be 6 GB or 8 GB or something like that, but it's in general 4 GB. Then we're going to get some difference with the battery, and the CPU and GPU are like they said it is. It comes with Android 11, and the IPS touch display, there's something going on, because here we're going to get a slightly different, let's say, resolution when you're looking at AIDA64. Of course, we're going to double check it together, but I just wanted to say, I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of weird. And the specs in general, especially to the CPU and GPU, are okay. But let's take a close look at the AIDA64, because I'm curious what are the specs. So first of all, the system, it's called the X18s, alright, so we're going to get 4 GB of RAM, and we're going to get a total storage capacity of 58.88 GB. Some will be like reserved for the system itself. Okay, so let's take a close look at the CPU. Then we're going to get the 6-core ARM Cortex A55 and the 2-core Cortex A75. Alright, then we're going to get CPU cores 8. Yep. Alright, so this is basically what you're going to get with that. Display, that's also very interesting, 1280 by 1280 screen resolution. Okay, that is different like what they said in the manual. And this time refresh rate says 28 Hz, and that can be maybe an issue with the software itself. And I'm hoping that we can fix it in the future, because I know like with the previous model was something like 59 Hz, some weird thing going on. Then we're going to get here the GPU, the Mali G52. Okay, so the battery life, let's take a close look at that. Charge, voltage, and everything needs to be here. In total, we're going to get a capacity of 3060 milliamp. Okay, so there are some interesting things going on here, because didn't they state something like 5000 milliamp? Oh man, see, I'm confused now. But let's take a close look at this beautiful IPS display that is inside this Me machine. And I must say, like, I have seen it before. If it's any better like the previous model, that's something we're going to look at it later. But let's talk about the display itself, and also how is the firmware itself. And let's take a close look at the display itself. They were not lying. It's a beautiful, and so far I can see, an IPS panel. And the colors, everything looks very nice, bright and colorful. Don't be confused with an OLED panel, because that's just basically next level. But when you're paying a lot of money, like for a device like the X18s, that is just a minimum that they can give you. But overall, I'm very pleased with this result when it comes to the display itself. Okay guys, so let's talk about the software. I personally really hate this freaking menu. By the way, you need to change the language. That is something you need to do instantly, because I cannot read the thing. But the problem is there is no Play Store, and without a Play Store I cannot go into my account and basically download the emulators and games that I bought from the store. And it was a big problem, but they fixed it with an update, so let's show you how you need to update. So the first thing that we need to do, we're going to the Powkiddy website. And with the website we can find all kinds of information, but the thing that we need is going to the news, because here is where I quickly found the information about the update. When scrolling down, it can be a little bit further. Of course, they're posting new stuff. Here it says good news, the new X18s latest GMS firmware. Okay, the thing that you need to do, go to the Google Drive, and there you can find the file that you're going to need. The only thing you need to do is basically download this. Take consideration that you need to log in into a Google account, otherwise you have some problems downloading it, or that was something I had. But the thing is, like, make and download, and yep, still downloading. You will download a zip file that you don't need to unzip, you just need to copy paste. And when the file is done, it's 1.4 GB. It will take some time, especially here. But let's take a close look what kind of things we still need. Because the next thing that we're going to need is a card reader and of course CF card, because we need to put the file on a CF card and not the internal storage. So I'm just going to use this SanDisk Ultra. I recommend getting a fast one. Okay, so next up we need to do plugin into my PC, because it will find the Powkiddy CF card, and then I'm going to my download folder, because there is where my file were. Okay, updates. You can copy it, you can cut it, it's all up to you. In this case, I will no, I will just copy it. I just will leave the original file over there. Okay, next up, go to the CF card, just paste it in the main root folder, and that's it. It will take some time depending what kind of USB you're using. I'm using USB 3.0 and a quite fast card, but still it takes a minute or so to transferring the file to the CF card. Alright, so when the files have been transferred to your CF card, just put it in, not like this, but like that. Click it in, boot up your Powkiddy, and you're ready to go. Okay, so installing this will be very easy. Take consideration, you need to have at least around 35% of your battery. I had a problem, I need to freaking charge this thing. Go to Advanced, all the way to the bottom. There we can find About the Software, Local Software Update. Press OK. Again OK. You update the file package. Take consideration, everything will be wiped. So if you want to do this, you need to make a backup of your files if you have anything on it. So the downloaded progress takes a long time. After that, it will start to install. So when it's installed and you didn't get a message, the thing that you need to do is try to install it again. I had it somehow. I need to try to install twice before I'm going to get the message. Because if you don't have the right stuff installed, you're not going to get yourself the freaking Play Store. See, I'm still stuck with a reset system that is still on old firmware. I don't know what happened with me, but just wanted to show you. So let's install it again. Alright, so the second attempt, it started installation progress again. So, and when it was just erasing everything, the install was complete. After the install complete, it asks you to reboot, pressing OK, or just reboot your system yourself, and you're going to get into this menu. It will start erasing and reconfiguring. The next thing that we need to do is change the language back to English, and we are ready to go. Reconfigure your Wi-Fi connection. Not going to do this, of course, because I just wanted to do it later on. And of course, this is just your typical thing that you need to do when you're booting up your Android device for the first time. For example, your mobile phone. Okay, and the next thing you need to do is like the Google service. You need to activate your account, but I'm going to shut this stuff all out, like allow scanning, use location, out, no. And okay, let's check this. Okay, I sell my soul to you, Google. Alright, accept. You can set up a pin if you want extra security. If you don't want to, you can just press the skip button at the left. Alright, yep, skip anyway. That will take indeed a couple of seconds, not very fast. And after you have got the screen itself, the new firmware is installed. And yep, we're going to have ourselves the Play Store. So let's activate my Wi-Fi, install my account, and let's go. Okay, but what makes this Powkiddy XS so special? So first of all, it runs on Android 11, like not the Android 11 part, but more like that it runs on a pretty recent Android edition. And when this thing got, let's say, better emulation options, and also it comes with a better option when it comes to, let's say, an Android where we can actually use the Play Store, then it would be interesting. So we're having like the all-round device that I always wanted. Think about like a device that we can use with the touch, but also that we can use it with like retro games. That's what I think really convenient is with your Android devices. You can do so much really cool things with it, but now in my opinion it's still very limited. Great example, like this thing is not comfortable to play at all. Like the buttons are completely messed up when it comes to mapping. But this is just a really great highlight how cool this device is. Okay, I need to do something before I'm going to do the final conclusion. Let's remove the freaking plastic, because people will bitch about it. Satisfied now. But now with thanks to the Play Store, you can actually get yourself the games from the Play Store, like Minecraft, and you can play them on the go. And thanks to the physical controls, you can just play it like you're doing on your game system. I think that's pretty genius. So besides like the emulation stuff that we're also talking about all the freaking time, it's actually like a pretty cool piece of hardware you can play your old school Android games with. And I think that's the most appealing of these devices. You pay a little bit more, you get more power, but you're going to get physical controls and gives it a completely new way to play. Okay, so when it comes to two-dimensional stuff, it will all just run fine. But the problem is the freaking D-pad. So what is so important with the D-pad, especially when you want to play some fighting games or just beat 'em ups, it needs to be like perfectly, otherwise it makes the game unplayable. I cannot get any moves out, so I am forced to use the analog stick that I also don't really like. So when it comes to fighting, I'm gonna say it's completely unplayable, but such a bummer that I messed it up with the D-pad. Because they didn't really change anything out when it comes to the first edition and this one. Alright, so we'll start off with Sega Saturn, and with the update now, we can run this game pretty damn good. You can see it's running on the full speed. So it's a freaking miracle that they only managed to do this with some freaking software. But that makes this thing has a lot of potential if it can run some Sega Saturn. Alright, so let's play a part of the game. And you can just see that it runs perfectly. Sonic Car! Who made this shit? Like, it's freaking awful. So. Another system that was not running on many of these Android devices, it's running pretty damn good now. And the reason I'm saying that perfectly, because you can see like sometimes we're having these hiccups. If you're adding some frame skips to it, it will run way better of course, but I just want to run it on 2 times the resolution. You can see the Powkiddy X18s can run God of War, Chain of Olympus pretty damn good. So let's try another PlayStation Portable game. But for me it's quite exciting to see that this thing is actually running PlayStation Portable pretty damn good, so we can enjoy some awesome games. And with the software you can see like this game was running, if I remember it correctly, on the old software. But it's running way better now. But if you want to put it on higher resolution, we're going to need some more juice. Alright, so next up let's try GameCube. So GameCube is a system that will always struggle with this device because it's so demanding. Just want to grab a game that is demanding but not too much. It will have like some minor hiccups when it comes to the FPS, but overall it doesn't run that bad. Revenge, baby, yeah! But if you want to play more demanding games like F-Zero GX, that is not a very nice experience. So let's boot it up and I will show you what I mean, because with the intro, this thing is like the X80 Stuttering Edition. Okay, so I just wanted to boot up the game, just to show you what happens then. And it's like freaking unplayable with all the stuttering, and maybe if you can like mess around with settings, it is not going to give you a better experience. Fun fact, like the vibration function does work like this, so that's pretty cool. So when it comes to GameCube, you will reach the limitations for this device, and that's a little bit of a bummer, because it's still one of my favorite platforms to play. But okay, so the next up what I want to try out is the Sega Dreamcast. And with Sega Dreamcast, in combination with the Rhythm emulator, we can even push this thing to the 1080p resolution. That is pretty cool and gives a completely new experience for a Sega Dreamcast gameplay on the go. But that was only possible if we had, of course, the Play Store. We can download and buy the app itself. That costs only a couple of dollars, but still give you like a really cool experience. And it works very well on the Powkiddy X18s now. Okay, so next up, let's play Bloody Roar 2, a game that's quite demanding, but of course for the Powkiddy, it's not going to be an issue anymore. Because if you can play God of War, PlayStation 1 can be run perfectly. But despite the flaws this device has, after the update, this thing has like a gigantic boost when it comes to the performance and overall. And I was surprised, just gonna be honest. I did see some videos and just needed to show it for myself. And also I want to make like a separate update. So my first video was more like a first impressions, what you're going to get. And I'm hoping in the future they will release the Powkiddy X18s with just this firmware and maybe even better firmware. So you can just pull it out of the box, install your emulators and your games, and you can just have some gaming fun. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.